Hello, my name is Bill Spencer, a program manager for Microsoft Copilot Extensibility. Thank you for joining. Today we're going to talk about Microsoft 365 Copilot, and specifically about Copilot agents, which are AI-powered assistants designed to help you get work done. I want to show you how easy it is to create a variety of agents with a set of instructions we are sharing in these slides. My goal is to make you a hero in your organization by using a Copilot agent that specifically helps you do your job. Copilot is the user interface for AI in Microsoft 365. You can customize Copilot for tasks with an agent that makes Copilot more personal to your work and more capable. I think of agents as a set of instructions, similar to a spreadsheet, that you can customize for your job. Eventually, you can share your agent within your organization in order to help colleagues be more productive, in the same way you might want to share a spreadsheet that's particularly helpful for getting your work done. Copilot Studio is an easy-to-use tool to create agents. I will show you how easy it is to create an AI agent, but with Copilot it is also safe. Copilot provides the security, governance, and management necessary to make AI both useful and safe. Copilot uniquely offers enterprise data protection, so your data is protected and managed according to your organization's standards and policies. And compliance is built in, so your agent automatically meets the necessary legal, regulatory, and organizational requirements. And that combination of power and safety is why 70% of the Fortune 500 are already using Microsoft 365 Copilot. Now, the best part of my job is helping customers apply AI to their real-world business problems. It makes their job more enjoyable, and it's a great use of the latest technology. And here's a few examples from customers who've described the benefits of Copilot for their organization. So, for example, at Lumen, where their Salesforce is using Copilot, their employees report saving 10 hours per week per employee. Honeywell employees using Copilot estimate their time savings at 92 minutes per week. And similarly, at Vodafone, they're on average saving 3 hours per week for each person using Copilot, and over 90% of their Copilot users praise the product. In the first quarter of calendar year 2025, Microsoft announced Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat. It combines the power of artificial intelligence with your work data, agents, and apps to help you unleash creativity, unlock productivity, and up-level skills in a chat experience. Grounded in both web and work data, Copilot Chat helps you incorporate your work content, such as chats, email, and files. It's extensible and can be accessed in the Microsoft 365 app, in Microsoft Teams, and in Microsoft Outlook. You can use it in the web, the mobile and desktop version of the Microsoft 365 app, and you can access it by simply going to microsoft365.com/Copilot. Copilot Chat combines 3 valuable capabilities in a single offering. There is free AI powered by ChatGPT 4.0 and grounded in the web. It offers access to agents integrated in the chat experience, and those are grounded on your own work data and paid for on a consumption basis, so you don't need a full subscription to Copilot. And it offers IT controls, including enterprise data protection and AI management. Microsoft 365 Copilot delivers these productivity benefits for every employee by streamlining universal tasks. But it can help even more when instructions are packaged together in the form of an agent to apply AI to specific business processes. It is easy to get started using Copilot Studio. Today, we're going to talk about 2 specific agents for the roles of project management and R&D. At the end of this presentation, I'll show the sample instructions for additional agents such as customer service, marketing, and hiring manager. I'll show how Copilot can be tailored to address unique needs of different professional roles with specific use cases and examples. A team of engineers at Microsoft created these sample instructions for each of these agents by working with various customers who are customizing Copilot for their organizations. So while the instructions are generic, they're a great place to start because they're based on real-world agents. I'm going to demonstrate the most basic case for each agent, but for all of these agents, there are more advanced capabilities that you can use and try out and prove the value of these to yourself, and then customize for your environment. My main goal here is to dispel any notion that agents are complicated or risky, and to help you get started using Copilot agents today. Now, the instructions I'm sharing in slides are just sample instructions, and they are not supported Microsoft products. Of course, Copilot Chat, Copilot itself, those are Microsoft supported products, but these are simply sample instructions. Microsoft envisions every employee having a smart AI Copilot to help them excel in their jobs, just like every employee has a smartphone. Copilot is your secure personal AI assistant. It understands you and your work context. So just like with smartphones, people say, oh, there's an app for that. Soon, people will be saying, oh, there's an agent for that when it comes to various tasks within your organization. Agents augment Copilot by adding specific skills and knowledge. My personal estimate is that for a typical information worker, likely 20 to 30% of your job can be improved with an agent. And the other 70%, you can use regular Copilot to help get things done. Microsoft is also working on a set of out-of-the-box agents. As of now, in late February of 2025, agents in SharePoint is generally available, and the 4 others listed on the slide here are in public or private preview. Microsoft offers a spectrum of tools for creating these agents. There are no-code tools, and that's what we'll be using today in the case of Agent Builder within Copilot Studio. And there are more advanced tools that require programming skills, both within Copilot and pro-code capabilities are available in Azure AI generally. Today, I'm just going to focus on helping the citizen developer become a hero within their organization by creating Copilot agents for their role. So the first one of these we're going to tackle is project management. So here we are in Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat and have clicked on our personal assistant agent on the right rail. Notice that we have tailored certain prompts to this specific agent, these start prompts that are a single click to get things started. In this scenario, our employee is going to ask this agent for help understanding the project management framework that's being used within this particular project or within the organization. And you'll see that entered in the prompt box on the lower quarter of the page, not using any of the pre-programmed prompts that you'll see in the top half of the page. I'm highlighting the prompts on the slide in a blue box, so it's easy to see what is being entered. So entering that prompt, Copilot then goes and searches for the information typically stored in SharePoint, but it could be in a wiki or some other source of information, as we'll see in the demo, about what model is followed with the project and what are the Scrum activities. And the agent responds with details about the Agile methodology in use and the meeting cadence. And you'll notice the citations so the user can drill down and get additional information specifically from those documents that the creator of the agent pointed the agent towards. So this is pulling in information specific to the work context of this project team or within this organization. And the user continues to ask for a refresher on Agile and Scrum frameworks to help improve them as a member of the project team. Here's a second scenario. The, say, project lead asks for a summary of those tasks that are behind schedule and asks the Copilot agent, the project assistant Copilot agent, for the recommendations on who on the project team can take on those additional tasks. It then summarizes the data and makes suggestions on how to redistribute the tasks. And in our final scenario, a project lead or potentially someone in their management structure asks this project assistant agent to analyze the expense categories and to see how the actual spend compared to the budget forecast, and to identify areas where they're out of sync and for recommendations on cost optimization. And in this case, they're attaching a spreadsheet. This Copilot agent is then doing an analysis and coming back, responding in this table form with specific categories and recommendations. And the agent can go further and actually respond in a graphical form as well. So there's a lot of capabilities that are available, and you'll see with relatively simple instructions on how to focus it on specific roles. Here's some additional instructions on how you can get up to speed with Agent Builder, but you'll see it's really quite simple. And on these following slides, you'll see the sets of instructions that I'll be cutting and pasting and putting into Copilot Studio in order to build this agent. And there's two tasks. There's the description, and then there's the configuration. There's an element of what we call prompt engineering, and that is for each one of these agents, we want to come up with a set of prompts that's going to help a new user or perhaps someone in your management chain who might not use this agent all the time, but they want to quickly drill down and get specific responses from this agent. So here is our second agent, and this is the Research Assistant. So this is for an R&D scenario. And in this case, we've got a description of how this agent will streamline the R&D process using the organization's specific research data. It also can go outside the organization and pull competitive information from the web and university, government-funded research that's publicly available on the internet. But with the power of Copilot, you can bring it in to help you with your specific R&D tasks. So in this scenario, we're working for an automotive company, and we're doing research around the performance of electric vehicles. This first prompt is very specific to within an organization's research data. Now, the second prompt is going within and outside the organization with a very open-ended prompt. And this is what I love about Copilot. You can ask it things like, suggest new directions for us to improve efficiency. And what's fantastic about this is it will find that in all the available information that can be crawled and indexed on the web. Similar to the previous Project Assistant agent, in this case, here's the instructions on how you can get up to speed to use Agent Builder and how to ground it in your own organization's data. I recommend using the SharePoint Graph Connector as an initial step. And here is the information that we will cut and paste to put into Copilot Studio in order to build this agent. So here's the description, and here's the configuration. So now I'm going to switch over to share my screen and actually start to build this agent within Copilot Studio. Okay, sharing my screen, I'm in my Microsoft 365 tenant, and I click on the Copilot icon in the left rail in order to drill specifically into Copilot. So let me talk about a few aspects of this Copilot chat user experience. There is the left rail we've already talked about. There is the work and the web modes. And you'll notice that the standard prompts that are suggested change when I click from work to web modes. Because I'm creating a work-related agent, I'm going to focus on work mode. I have the ability to refresh my chat. I have the enterprise data protection on, and this is that unique aspect of Microsoft 365 Copilot compared to other AI capabilities that are out there. Even in enterprise form, they just don't offer the level of data protection that Microsoft 365 Copilot offers. I have the ability to open and close my right rail, And then in the right rail, I have a visual creator, which I'll talk about in a future presentation. I have a number of agents that I've created already or others in my organization have shared with me. I have found those using the Get Agent feature here. Sometimes this is below the rail depending on your screen resolution. And you'll notice I also have access in my organization to our instance of ServiceNow and our instance of Jira Cloud, which is going to be very helpful as I create an agent using that data, using information specific to my organization, not just information available on the web. In the bottom here, I have the prompt box where all the magic happens. And here I have the access to create an agent using Copilot Studio. So opening Copilot Studio, it says, I'm here to help you build an agent. Start by describing what you want. I'm switching over to my PowerPoint slide that includes the description for the project assistant agent, and we'll just go through those instructions. It's to streamline project management. You can change this from IT project management to different kinds of project management, say construction or say a marketing project. It provides comprehensive guidance, and it really details what you are looking for Copilot to do. So an agent is all about focusing on specific area or capabilities within Copilot, and then providing additional resources or skills for your agent to help you get your job done. So I'm going to click on this paper airplane icon in order to submit the description. And notice there is a description mode and a configure mode. So we're focusing on the description mode. The autosave is on. Copilot is thinking about my prompt, and it's come back with this response. Next, let's decide on a name for the project assistant. So in the ideal world, several people within your project team will start to use the instructions I'm sharing and create their own agents. So I'm going to clearly label this as a test project assistant, and I'm going to put my initials on there. You could put your email, let's name it. And I'll just put in quotes here. And you'll notice I'm using natural language programming. And this is really the power of AI to have text-based communications. So you don't need to have advanced programming skills or really any programming skills. You can simply use the kinds of instructions I'm providing here. And if you want to grab these, take a screenshot and enter these instructions on your own into your instance of Copilot Studio. So the agent name has been updated, and now it's saying, let's refine the instructions with specific actions, behaviors, etc. So I'm going to grab the second half of these instructions because it's a little harder to read. I'm going to put it right in here. And it has these sections, scope and knowledge sources. So we'll talk about this, but SharePoint for gathering project-related information, uploading file extracts, politely declining out-of-scope questions. So how to handle out-of-scope questions. And it says this agent specializes in project management concepts. So if, for example, someone asks about the weather, something unrelated to project management, it will politely decline. And then here is the areas to focus on. Very important that you tell Copilot specifically what you want it to do. With Agile, Waterfall, Scrum, Kanban, hybrid models is the focus. Using Gantt charts, work breakdown structure, critical path method. These are the kinds of things you want to pull from the vast repository of Copilot knowledge to say, this is what you're focusing on. So we've got details in those instructions. in terms of the responses. In some agents, for example, if you're doing a legal analysis, you may want a verbose response that uses legal kinds of language. But in this case, this is focused on project management. We want bullet points, crisp communication with step-by-step instructions. And the tone is going to be professional and neutral. In some cases, you might want something that's more humorous, or you may want something that is sympathetic. For example, say in an HR agent, you may want to have responses to certain scenarios very supportive. Well, here we're going to have unbiased and based on established project management policies. So we're instructing Copilot how to respond so that it meets the needs of our particular role. And you can see Copilot's thinking about it. The instructions have been updated. Now let's focus on configuration. So I'm switching from the description role to the configuration role. And you'll see the name is in there, 28 out of 30, the length of the agent name. You have the instructions. Now this is super important. This is where we're going to start grabbing knowledge. So you may have a SharePoint repository of documents related to your project management, and you can enter that here. You may want to enable web search. In this case, I'm not going to. My next R&D agent, I will turn on web search because I want to get competitive information. But here I want to focus on specifically internal information. So I'm going to be gathering information from our DevOps wiki. So I know what is our agile methodology within our organization. I could pull in Confluence, but in this case, scrolling down, I want to pull in the JIRA information. So I have details on our project, and I could also pull in ServiceNow, etc. So we have these turned on as data sources within our organization, and I'm able to specify which of those I want to include. There's additional capabilities if I was working with code or with images, which in this case I am not. And there are starter prompts. So for example, how do I create a Gantt chart? And these are just suggested by Copilot based on its knowledge. And in this case, I'm going to say, you know, everyone knows how to do a Gantt chart. I'm going to remove that one, but I'm going to add some of the starter prompts that are here within my configure slide. For example, give me an overview of the project. So I'm just going to say project overview. So this is an important prompt for execs who might want to use this agent. And I can go through and put in these additional prompts. Assuming I've done that, I am now going to create, pressing on the Create button here in the upper right corner. And Copilot Studio is now creating the agent that I've described and configured using these instructions. All right, so there's a few things you'll notice here. I can copy this or I can embed this in places where a link would be useful. So for example, in an application, the link currently works only for me. And to change those settings, I can go onto this link here and I can allow them for anyone in the organization. I can add specific users. So in this case, I may want to share this with my manager or with a colleague so that I get other people testing it. In the interest of time, I'm just going to leave it as is, that it is only me currently testing it. So I'll hit cancel. And I'm going to go to the agent that I've just created. And you'll notice that it is here within my experience in the right rail. I can pin it. So I can put it here in my favorites. And as other agents, as I bring in other agents or other agents are shared with my organization, I'm not going to lose this agent because this is one that I'm currently testing and eventually hope to use to get my job done. Here's the name of the agent. I can customize icon for it. And here you can see the prompts that we've put in, including this prompt about giving a project overview. But I'm going to use the prompt as my test that involves adding a Excel spreadsheet so I can compare actuals versus my forecast. Switching to OneDrive, I'm going to grab this spreadsheet. And drop it here. So we have the prompt, analyze the budget versus actual expenses, identify key areas of over and under spending, and provide recommendations for cost optimization. I could have attached it here. There's additional capabilities here, but I'm going to click on the paper airplane icon in the lower right. This new Copilot agent will respond with its analysis. And scrolling up, you'll see that it has done a tabular response, looking at each category and giving me the differences so I can see the positive and negative differences. Looks like in general, we have overspent. Guess that's not atypical. And it gives some examples of how I can optimize my costs in the current month. If you want to make updates to refine it over time, you can go back into Agent Builder. Click here where it says My Copilot Agent. Choose the agent that you'd like. Eventually, when it's no longer in its test phase, you can share it with others in your organization, specifying specific users by security group or email address, or sharing it with anyone in the organization. So in this case, I'm going to make it the official project assistant, remove my contact information, click on Update, and you can see I can share this with anyone in the whole organization. I'm going to go to that agent. And you can see I have the project assistant agent, but your users still have control. They can uninstall that agent from their user interface. And the agent creator or the IT professionals can delete that agent across the organization. Will no longer be available for any of its users. So there's a lot of power and capabilities here. Copilot, Copilot Studio, and the Agent Builder experience makes it easy for you to create these useful assistants to help you get your job done, improve them, refine them within your organization, and eventually to retire them if something better comes along. It should give you a lot of confidence that you can start to work with Copilot and build something that's truly useful and productive. Let's go to our next example, the R&D agent. The agent description here in PowerPoint. I'm going to go into the Agent Builder experience here, clicking on Create Agent in the right rail. And this is for a research assistant. Contextual answers about research and development topics based on SharePoint. And in this case, the instructions are all about R&D and the automotive research databases that are available within the organization. Clicking on that, it asks me if I want to change the name, and I'm going to say, name it Test Research Assistant. And I'm going to put my initials after that as I share this across the R&D team to get feedback from my colleagues. All right, similar to our previous description, it is going to ask for additional instructions, and I'm cutting and pasting here from my PowerPoint slide. And with these section headings, you'll see there's the emphasis and what to avoid. So prioritizing precise and user-friendly responses, clarity on research findings and methodologies and relevant data, tone and style, keep the tone professional yet approachable. And in terms of additional refinement, based on your interest in this research, do you want to explore the latest case studies on related topics? In this case, we can go to web information. So let's get to the configure. Okay, so we're now in the configure mode, and we have all the information that we've provided so far. It's going to ask for additional information, so I can identify the SharePoint repositories that have the initial information. I'm also going to turn on web search here because I want to be able to do competitive information. This is definitely coming from our Confluence sources and from our enterprise websites. So I'm gathering those knowledge sources here from within the organization. I'm not going to need code interpreter or image generator for this. I do have some additional prompts. Oh, you'll notice that in this case, there's a limit that's been exceeded. So I'm going to abbreviate that. There we go. There we go. These prompts look fine. And I'm going to click on the Create button in the upper right. Copilot Studio is thinking about it and comes back with this response. Again, you can change these settings. I'm going to keep these as only for me. I'm going to go to the agent, and you'll notice it is here. The Test Research Assistant agent has been created. Let's say I want to pin that so it's top of mind for me as I go and improve. And let's use this sample prompt, which is going to pull in information that includes web search for competitive information, for academic and governmentally funded research. I'm going to click here on the paper airplane icon to enter that prompt in the prompt box. And here's what Copilot comes back with battery technology. And you'll notice it is pulling this information from the web. So that is really helpful to be able to take advantage of some great information that's publicly available, in addition to the research information that's available internally. So similar to the situation I described before, it is easy for me to go back into create an agent mode, to go to this drop down and to choose the agent that I want to configure, change the configuration, and update accordingly. And change the settings so that the specific people in R&D have access to that. I don't need to share it within the whole organization. But I can share it again with specific groups. And if in the fullness of time, I want to delete it, it's easy to uninstall. All right, so I'm going to switch back to PowerPoint and close out the presentation. So as you can see, it's very easy to create these agents using the kinds of instructions that I'm sharing on these slides. It's easy to modify them, to personalize them for your organization or for your task, and to manage their life cycle as well, including deleting them. The instructions I'm providing are just sample instructions. They are not of and by themselves Microsoft supported products, but of course, Microsoft 365 Copilot, Copilot Chat, those are supported products. Things to try and our top tips. As you create your agents, consider the starter prompts, and you can see there's a limit to the number of those. You can use sample ones. You can refine those over time. Copilot does a pretty good job suggesting some basic ones, but that level of prompt engineering is very helpful to get people started and to access the more advanced capabilities of the agents. So when you discover a really compelling scenario, you may want to create a prompt to highlight that capability. Play with the tone. Experiment, for example, with an HR agent, as you may want a very sympathetic HR manager response. In other cases, you may want a legal response that's a little more cut and dried, sticking to the letter of the law as opposed to the spirit, sympathetic response. Try different knowledge sources, and that will give you different responses. So you'll notice I used web resources for competitive information. And what's great is that kind of competitive information is available at the free tier. Web information is essentially no additional cost. So the ability to package that together with AI response is a feature that's available to all users of Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat with no additional metered fees or subscription fees. You'll notice our instructions were specific about the areas and topics that we wanted each of these agents to cover. Project management, project-related methodologies, in the case of the first agent, the project assistant, and in the case of the research assistant, R&D, specific resource information inside and outside the company was the focus in our second agent. Although you can create workflows that could tackle significant automation, we encourage you to start by breaking complicated workflows or multi-step workflows into individual tasks and steps because it's easier to test those in terms of your workflow. Use clear syntax, including the headings, punctuations, section separators. That helps avoid ambiguity in the instructions and potentially poor responses. If you're getting a poor response, take a look at your instructions and make sure that they're crystal clear. And where possible, provide examples. You'll notice that we focused on what Copilot should do, and the knowledge resources are very important in terms of the quality of the response and customizing it for your organization and your role. A prompt box is like a search box in that it has tremendous capabilities behind it using natural language prompts to pull these vast resources out of the ChatGPT 4.0 model. There's tremendous complexity behind that prompt that this slide helps summarize. So the great thing about Copilot and Copilot Chat is the accessibility within your organization. There's a free level of Copilot Chat, and then there's a full subscription to Copilot. And in between those, there is a pay-as-you-go model. So anyone can create an agent, but the usage of that agent will incur some messages, and those messages have costs. But as you can see here, the cost is $200 per month for 25,000 messages, which is basically running 1,000 instances of an agent, which is a lot of usage of an agent. There's also the ability to pay on a per message basis, a cent per message, and these could already be paid for with existing Microsoft Azure credits. So you may already have funding in place within your organization to be taking advantage of agents. This slide goes into greater detail on the differences between a full Copilot subscription and what's available for no additional cost, Copilot Chat, and what's available on the metered basis. You'll notice the orange triangles are those metered costs, and the free tier is in the left table. And the main distinction is in the personal assistant area. So that is where you're going to see the difference between the full subscription and the free level. The other distinction is in the grounding of information using your work data, because there's significant costs involved in looking at email, at documents, at Teams chats as responses are calculated and presented in Copilot. So that's where you're seeing the distinction between Copilot Chat and the full Copilot subscription. So what are your next steps? Well, I hope you can see that it's easy and safe to create these agents, to experiment, to improve them over time, and potentially share them with others in your organization. Here are additional resources for learning more about Copilot and Copilot Studio. Maybe you want to take a screenshot of this slide and follow up on these URLs. I want to thank the team of engineers that created the instructions that I've shared with you already, as well as the additional instructions I'll show in just a few moments. And I want to thank you for your kind attention. We are looking forward to seeing what you create, and please share it back with us, because that's a great way that we can all learn and improve. Any feedback you have on Copilot, feel free to share that with your Microsoft account team, and they can get it back to the team of engineers working to make Copilot the best way to get your job done. Here's the instructions for additional agents. There is a customer service agent, in this case, tailored for an airline. And you can see the description information and the configuration information, including suggested prompts. Here is another example of a research assistant, in this case for marketing. Here's the description information and the configuration information. And here is an agent for a hiring manager. Here is the description information and the configuration information. Thank you again for your kind attention. Best of luck in your Copilot career.